welcome to Bass Lessons HQ. Today we're doing a dominant 7 or flat 7 rock and roll riff. Now I first heard this on Little Richard's Lucille, but since then I've heard it on dozens of others. It's a very popular one, and it's because it simply outlines the dominant 7, the flat 7 chord. Let me show that to you right now. Today we're working in G, so we're going to start on 3rd fret E for the low note, the root. Then we're going to play 2nd fret A string, that's the B or the 3rd of the chord. Up to the 5th fret is D or the 5th of the chord. Then 3rd fret on D string is the flat 7, F, and 5th fret is the octave G. Now we're going to hit the root note and the flat 7 twice each. So it's so those are your notes. Now pause the tape if you have to. Take a minute to get those notes under your fingers so you know which finger is playing which note and when. Okay? Now this is going to be a little bit longer video because we started at 130 beats a minute. I'm going to go all the way back to 80 like I normally do, and we're going to work at 10 beats at a time. Okay? Here's 80 beats a minute. 1, 2, 3, and. Now remember, you should be practicing this, increasing your speed only 2 beats a minute. And then when you get to the point where you don't get it quite right, back up 4 beats a minute, play it there, play it 10 times in a row at a minimum perfectly. And then that way you know you've really got it under your fingers. But to keep the video short, we always go up 10 at a time. So here's 90 beats a minute. 1, 2, 3, and. Moving along, let's go right up to 100. 1, 2, 3, and. Next up, 110 beats a minute. 1, 2, 3, and. We're almost up to tempo. Now we're at 120 beats a minute, which, by the way, was John Philip Sousa's favorite marching tempo. 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, if you can play it 10 times in a row perfectly at all of those, work yourself up 2 beats at a time until you get to 130 beats a minute, and that's our top tempo. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, and. There you go, a rock and roll riff with a dominant 7 or flat 7. Now, before I do the outro, I want to show you the turnaround. The turnaround is the last 2 measures of a 12-bar blues. Generally, it's either going to be 2 measures of the 1 chord, in this case G, or it's going to be a measure of 1, a measure of 5, 5 being D, and that's what we're doing here. And we don't do the same riff, we do a little turnaround riff to set up going back into the verse again. Let me show you what that is. So for the 11th measure, we're going to do the normal riff. For the 12th measure, we're going to rest for the first half of the first beat, and that's an 8th note. Then we're going to play D and 2 and 3. The and of 3 is the open E, 4 and 1, and we're back to the top of the verse. So very, very slowly, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rest, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. There's your turnaround. And you practice that the same way that you practice everything else. You get it under your fingers, you start very, very slow, play it 10 times in a row perfectly, then increase your speed 2 beats a minute. And once you can play the riff on G and C and D, and you can play the turnaround, then it's time to put them together. The first thing you do is practice going from G to C, back and forth till it's comfortable. Then G to D until it's comfortable, and D to C. Once you can do each of those changes, you put it all together, put the turnaround on the end, you got a 12-bar, you're playing music, call one of your buddies, time to jam. All right? Now before I do the outro, last thing, if you're on YouTube, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. That way you know about the videos right away. Then go over to basslessonshq.com, download the PDF, which has the standard notation and the tab to help get you started on this. And until next time, I'm Lane. This is Bass Lessons HQ. Thanks for being with me. And remember, aim high, play low. 1, 2, 3, and. Whoops. Let's turn the bass up. 1, 2, 3, and.